company. Okay, so the price we set from one division of company to another division of company. But remember, they are decentralized, a decentralized format of a company. They are free, each manager, they are free to sell internally, externally, in their local market. So transfer price can be within the same country, can be different countries in the world, but when we impact selling outside of Canada, for example, then you have tax implication. And that's why the guest lecturer was talking about tax issue. Okay, so because it's a decentralized organization, everybody doing whatever the thing, but last week, remember I told you about a situation, if you are buying from your local market at $15, I'm selling outside $15. I can also sell to you at $15. Is it better for you to buy from me or is it better for you to buy from outside? Remember we talked about that? And we said it's better to buy from the same company. Because if you pay 15 to somebody else outside, I don't see 1 cent of that $15. If you buy from me, we are the same company. At least I get that $15. I pay for my variable cost, I still have a profit. So all things being equal, we want to encourage transfer internally. So that's why criteria to use to evaluate transfer price, why we want to encourage people, sub-unit manager, to buy and sell internally. Because if you buy internally, the money stays inside the business. If you buy from outside, bye-bye, the money is gone. Okay? So that's what happened. Now, this is what I showed you last class. Alright, so I'm going to do a brief review, and then after that, I'm going to do a few questions, 3 or 4 questions with you. Okay. So we're going to set the price range. What will be acceptable for the seller, want to sell, encourage them to sell, and what will be acceptable for buyer willing to buy? Okay, so this is the boundary. Now, you see this box? Division A, Division B, same company. Maybe in different locations in the world, they are the same company. Okay, so Division A, for example, I showed you this last class. Buy raw material from vendor X. You buy material, parts, or whatever. But then you buy the material, you need to spend money. Let's say you spend $2. The cost is $8. You spend additional $2. What do? You make it into whatever the motor, whatever the parts. Now the cost to the Division A, $10. This is the minimum, $10. Okay? Now Division B is buying the same, let's say battery or the motor from their local market, and they pay $15. They pay $15. Okay? Now they buy that maybe motor to do a handheld fan. You know, the summertime is very hot and a fan. Okay, so they buy the motor, but they have to put other stuff on it, and then sell outside $25. Okay, so now what's the transfer price? The minimum is $10 because I'm not going to sell it at a loss. So I'm going to sell to you at $10. That's the sale price. When it comes over here, it becomes your cost of goods sold, your variable cost, product cost. $10. But you cannot sell this, whatever the motor outside. You're going to make it into a little fan. Okay? So you spend additional $5 in there. The cost to you is $15. You sell $25, you make $10. So let's look at from company perspective overall. If I sell to you at $10, the cost to me, variable cost is $10, I don't make anything. I look really bad. Contribution margin, I contribute 0. But Division B contribute $10. So this additional $10 from the company till, let's say, the market price of the buyer. They can buy 15 from outside, they can buy 15 from me, the same company. Now, $15, the variable cost is $10, I make $5 if you buy from me. You don't buy from outside. Now, at $15, process cost is going to be irrelevant. Doesn't matter who you buy from, still $5 extra you need to spend. Okay? So if you buy from me $15, now your cost is $20. You make $5. I contribute 5, you contribute 5. Both of us together, we contribute $10 to the company. Now, if I want to sell it to you at $16, why? Why can I sell it at $16? Because I sell to my market, local market, 16. You want it? 16? No? Bye-bye. Okay, so here, $16. If I want to charge you $16, you're not going to buy from me because you can buy it cheaper locally. So my cost is $10. I will have a zero contribution margin from you because you're not going to buy from me. You're going to buy from outside. That's why you have a zero contribution margin. And if transfer price set at $16, that's $15 go out. I don't have transfer price. So only coming from B. But if I can sell outside 16, you can buy 15 from outside. We should do a separate way. Because I sell to outside 16, I make $6. You buy from outside, you make $5. So it's better off for the company as a whole. Okay? So this is the overall transfer price. Now, I'm going to show you something called minimum. We are going to establish the boundary. What will work for the division to buy and sell from each other. Okay, so. Okay. So the minimum price, the maximum price, we are establishing the boundary between the buyer and seller. Okay, so transfer price, what's the maximum you can charge to make this work? That will be work for you and work for me. I'm a seller. What's the minimum for transfer price? So the maximum transfer price is the buyer's market price. If I charge you more than what you're going to pay for your market, in your market, you are not going to buy from me because it's more than what you can pay. We are decentralized, everybody look after their own bottom line. I'm not going to buy from you. Like that. Okay? So it's a buyer's market. It's the maximum you can charge in order to make it happen. Now, what's the minimum price? Minimum price is the variable cost, whatever you need to make this product. Variable, direct material, direct labor, variable overhead. These are minimum. Fixed costs, we usually, listen to this carefully, okay? We usually ignore the fixed cost because fixed cost is going to be there. You transfer, you don't transfer, still have a fixed cost. So when we are establishing the boundary, first we ignore the fixed cost. We don't worry about fixed cost. We figure out what's the minimum you need to do. And then after that, you can say, I want more. So first we establish the minimum, okay? So variable cost plus any additional cost, I call it incremental cost. Any, let's say you have a demand, okay, you're from Asia and North America, whatever I make, I don't need any special feature or stamping to make this compliant to your local government need. You want me to transfer to you? I have to buy a machine. I need to put a plate on top. Each plate is 10 cents. I have to charge you that additional 10 cents. Okay, I have to put a stamp on top. It's going to cost me to buy a machine. That machine is $5,000. I'm going to charge you. But when we're talking about transfer price, we are looking at 1 unit at a time. What's the price per unit? I switch the two. Okay. So we are looking at price per unit. So additional cost can be variable cost per unit, can be fixed cost, but fixed cost can be a machine $5,000. How many are you going to transfer? How many do you need? So I'm going to spread it out evenly among the number of unit transfer. Divided by the number of units transferred. Okay? So the variable cost to make the motor, let's say $3. But for your special request, I need to put something else. Each unit, I need 50 cents. So I'm going to add additional 50 cents. But now I need to buy a machine to put a stamping on top. This machine costs $5,000. But I cannot put all $5,000 in one unit. I said, how many units I'm going to transfer? I need to transfer 5,000 units. For example, 2,000 units, 10,000 units, whatever the number of units you need to transfer, spread it out evenly. So which means the $1 fixed cost per unit. But this fixed cost is not your regular fixed cost. This fixed cost is the additional cost because of the transfer. So in your final exam, listen carefully, okay? I will ask you to tell me each cost, the minimum cost to transfer. So you have to add the variable cost, incremental variable cost, incremental fixed cost per unit transfer. Okay? Number 3, we call it opportunity cost. So what's the opportunity cost? This is a bit tricky. I'm going to write it down here. This is your contribution margin loss because of transfer from your existing sales. Okay, so suppose I sell to the local market $10. This is all about capacity. I don't have enough capacity. Variable cost is $5. So each unit I make $5. This is my profit, contribution margin. But I don't have a space. In order to transfer to you, I'm going to lose out $5 making outside. If you compensate me $5, I'm indifferent. I can sell outside, I can sell you, it's the same. I made my $5. So opportunity cost is the contribution margin loss from my existing sales. Because this is about capacity when I don't have capacity. So how do I calculate this opportunity cost? This is all about capacity. Okay, so first of all, you figure out what's the contribution margin per unit you're going to lose. Okay, $5, $2. How many units altogether you're going to lose? Total number from your sales. Okay. Divided by number of units transferred. So all these are number of units transferred. Number of units transferred. You divided by denominator. How many, spread it out, how many units we're going to transfer. So each unit has to be responsible to cover this cost. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example, okay? Sometimes one-to-one exchange. So for example, each unit contribution margin for me to sell to outside $2. Okay. In order to sell to you 1,000 units, for example, I have to give up 1,000 units. So it's a 1-to-1 transfer. I lose out 1,000 units, you need 1,000 units. So times 1,000 units, so $2,000. $2,000 altogether, I'm going to lose contribution margin selling to outside. How many units do you need? 1,000 units. So each unit, you have to compensate me $2. But sometimes it's not 1-to-1 transfer. I may lose out 2,000 units, but you only want 1,000 units. So if you ask me to transfer, I transfer 1,000 to you, but I lose 2,000 units. Now I lose $4,000. Divided by 1,000 units, then you have to compensate me for $4. Okay? But sometimes can be lose out 2,000 units, but I get 4,000 units from you, so divided by 4,000 units, so each unit you have to compensate me for $1 that I lost on contribution margin. Are we okay with this? This is to see how much each unit have to compensate me. Okay, another way of looking at this, sometimes students have difficulty reading the question, how to solve the problem. You don't really care what to what transfer. You just say, what's the total dollar amount I'm going to lose out? Spread out number of units you're going to transfer. Okay, so sometimes question would say this. Your capacity, okay? Now you have 2,000 units. You can take this transfer or special order. You have 2,000 units available. But somebody come ask you to make 5,000 units, or you have to transfer 5,000 units. You only have a capacity of 2,000 units, but you need to have 5,000 transfer 5,000. So you are short of how many thousand? You have 2,000 already you can make. Somebody come to you and say, can you make 5,000 for me to transfer? You are short of how many thousand units? 3,000. Okay, so you are going to give up 3,000. This is your opportunity cost, 3,000. So you're going to lose out $6,000. How many units are you going to transfer? Maybe 3,000, maybe 2,000, 5,000. No, they said 5,000, right? I said 5,000. Okay, 5,000. Because they say, I want you to make 5,000 for me, but I already have 2,000, so I lose out 3,000. So 3,000 over 5,000, so this is 1.2. So you just have to think about what's the number of units I'm going to lose out. Sometimes students are very confused. You already have 2,000. I need 5,000. How many do I have to give up? Just say, I need 3,000, give up 3,000, but I need to transfer 5,000, $1.2 per unit. So this is the opportunity cost. This is a bit trickier when you don't have capacity. Okay, so now let's take a look at establish the boundary. This is exactly what I said, okay? So you're going to have variable cost, incremental additional fixed cost, variable cost, fixed cost per unit. Now opportunity cost is about capacity. Number one, you have an idle capacity. You have lots and lots of capacity, no opportunity cost, because you can take the order and transfer, make it and transfer. Okay, no opportunity cost. No idle capacity. You make everything you can to outside. So now you have an opportunity cost. Okay. Next one is some idle capacity. You may have a little bit capacity, but not all of it. So you have to figure out what's the number of units you have to give up. Spread it out. Same idea like this. Okay. So no external suppliers, so it's just the buyer willing to pay whatever the amount. Okay. Now we talk about there are different ways to cost out, to price, the transfer price. The first one is using market price. This is the best way because it's very competitive. You buy this amount, I sell with this amount, let's buy internally, it's better for the company. Okay, so that's lead to optimal decision. Now, here's a problem. If you use the market price, what if the market have a lot of supply, okay? We move away from this old technology. We have tons of this product. Nobody wants it anymore. So selling at very low price, less than your normal cost making it. That's called distress price, okay? That's a special term called distress price. Everybody try to get rid of discount. If that's the situation, distress price, market price, distress price, don't make it. Just buy from outside because it costs you more to make it. Okay, next one is a cost. We can use variable cost. This is probably the best way to do it. But if you're a seller, I only sell to you based on variable cost. I'm not making money. What's the incentive for me? Nothing. So once a while, the buying division should transfer a lump sum of profit for me to cover my fixed cost and profit. Okay? So that's the downside of the variable cost because the seller's not very eager to sell with no profit. You can use the fixed cost, full cost. So adding the fixed cost in there, we talked about this last class. So your variable cost, add the fixed cost, now it's the full cost. I cover everything, I have more incentive to sell to you. But the problem with this approach is variable cost plus fixed cost. Now when I transfer to you, every unit you purchase, you pay fixed cost per unit. So my fixed cost will become your variable cost because every unit you pay fixed cost per unit. When you sell to outside the price cover the fixed cost. The fixed cost, this is the same fixed cost covered one time by you, another time by me. So the same fixed cost covered twice. Your price may not be very competitive. Okay, proration, the third method. Between the cost and the ceiling, the market, you can split the two. Okay, if there's any difference, you can split the two. Let's say my cost is $10, your market is $20, the difference is $10, that's split. I add $5, you subtract $5, that's settled for $15. That's proration. But in this using this method, everybody has to be honest. How much is your cost? How much is your market price? Dual pricing. Dual means two prices. And this is crazy. Why? This is because the selling division is put a very high sale price. So you look good in your profit. The buying division uses very little cost. So you have a small cost of goods sold. You also look good. Everybody look good. This will be a problem if it's an international transfer price because it involves different tax system. So what are we going to do? The differences will be absorbed by the head office, but each division looks good. Okay, so that's the problem. Negotiated price. So you can negotiate what's the price you want to buy and how much you want to sell, but it can be very time consuming. Okay, so this is it for all the theory about transfer price, and I'm going to do a few questions with you. So the first question I want to do is the additional question on page 5, right? It's page 5. Simple question. Current product has a valve division that manufacture and sell the standard, regular valve. Okay? So it's nothing special, it's just a standardized standard valve. Capacity 100,000 units, so they can make 100,000 units. Selling price to outside, remember decentralized organization, they can sell to outside, $30. Variable cost, how much it costs them to make this product? $16. So the contribution margin is 14. Please write down 14 contribution margin can be your opportunity cost. If you don't have a capacity, you have to give up $14 is your opportunity cost. Okay? So now, fixed cost per unit, $9. So $9, how do we calculate $9? It's based on capacity. What's the capacity? 100,000 units. Okay, so review chapter 2 material. Fixed cost per unit, $9. 100,000 units, $900,000. This is your fixed cost. What's your variable cost? $16. I ask you, bonus question. Bonus question. I say you figure it out, high-low method, tell me variable cost, fixed cost, mixed cost. You're able to do that, and I say, okay, a bonus question. How difficult can that be? You tell me cost function. Y equals A plus BX. Student, write this. Want to get 2 marks for me? Write this. Would I ask you this for bonus? No. Why do you do this? I want you to figure it out. I think the answer should be like a fixed cost. You add them all together, 20,000 plus $10 X, something like that. Why would I ask you Y equals A plus BX? Because you already do the high-low method, you already figure it out for 6,000 units. So I say, please express this from this. Tell me how much. So should be like this. Okay, so I know it's passed already last week. Now, maybe come back to hunt you in the final exam. Okay, so for this question, fixed cost is 900,000 plus 16x. This is the mathematical equation, cost function. Are we okay with this? So depends on how many they make. You plug in the number. If they don't make 100,000, okay. So if they don't make 100,000, half of that fixed cost per unit would be doubled. $18. If you only make 50,000 units, 900,000 divided by 50,000, well, $18. So the less quantity you make, the higher the fixed cost. The more the quantity you make, the smaller the fixed cost, because fixed cost doesn't change. Okay, so now they tell you the company has a pump division. They can use the pump, the standard valve. Okay, to make the pump. Right now, they are buying 10,000 units every year from overseas suppliers. So maybe they're overseas at $29. Assume the valve division has lots and lots of capacity. So when they say ample idle capacity, it means no opportunity cost. No opportunity cost. Can handle everything the pump divisions need. What is the acceptable range, if any, for transfer price between the two divisions to happen? Okay, so the second one is selling it all it can. So this is, you don't have capacity. You have opportunity cost. Okay, number 3, it's the same. It can produce to outside, but we have $3 in variable cost can be saved. So then what's the situation? What's the range? Okay, we look at number 4 later on. Okay, so I told you in the final exam, I will combine chapter 4, decision making, and chapter 14 together. Because I said this is the same as a make, transfer versus buy. Make, transfer, versus make versus buy, the same, okay? So I'm going to do this question showing you how to put everything together. Okay, so transfer price. Maximum is the buyer's market. That is $29. Minimum additional cost because the transfer. No opportunity cost because we can handle everything. Transfer, and this is 29. Mathematically, will this work? Will this be okay? Mathematically, you look at the math. Is it okay? Yes or no? Yes, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So we should transfer. Okay? It's within the range, so basically, if I say, okay, I'm going to sell to you 29, not 20, no, 28, not 29. How about $28? You'll be happy. You save $1. $1. But then I sell it to you $28. I make $12. I can cover my fixed cost $9. I still have $3 left over. Okay. But first I ignore my regular fixed cost because the fixed cost is going to be there regardless I transfer, I don't transfer. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I will do this using chapter 4 method. Okay? So your final exam is going to be like this. The student asked me, how do you prepare? This is how you prepare. Think about it. Okay, so I'm going to take the take the transfer. Make versus buy. So take the purchase position to buy it. Number one, cost of purchase. $29 per unit. Number two, cost savings benefit. Variable cost, 16. Number three, opportunity cost. I say in life, you make decision only three things. Cost, benefit, additional cost. That's opportunity cost. Here, no. So you add the three together. This is negative 13. You want 10,000 units. If you buy from outside, cost you more. This is the net benefit. Cost of purchase. Should we do it? Negative, should we do it? Should we buy from outside? Yes or no? No. Lead to transfer. Buy internally. That's it. So this is chapter 4 method. This is chapter 13 method. Okay, now let's look at the next part of the question. The same, but now we have opportunity cost. Okay. Transfer price, maximum buyer's market, minimum variable cost, incremental cost, variable fixed cost per unit. Make sure you know how to calculate for your final exam, okay? I give you the template, I keep copying it. So you have to do that for me in the final exam, okay? Plus opportunity cost. So now we have opportunity cost because I have to give up. Okay, so variable cost is 16. No incremental cost. What's the opportunity cost? It's the contribution margin loss per unit. So they don't tell you 1 for 2, 2 for 1, 2 for 3. They don't tell you that. So we assume that giving up 1 unit, I get transfer 1 unit. Okay, so that's $14. Okay, mathematically, what do you think? Will this work? Will this work? No. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you. I'm going to look up here, okay? I'm going to tell you. When you don't have a capacity, you're going to end up have a transfer price for you. It's the same as the price you sell to outside. 16 plus 14, $30. You sell to outside $30. When you don't have capacity, this is your selling price. Because I can sell outside $30, I'll be okay to sell to you $30. I'm indifferent. But if you can find it cheaper, go ahead. Because I cover whatever I need to. So mathematically, it doesn't make sense. This one doesn't make sense. So I'm going to show you how I do it in chapter 4. Okay, take the purchase position. Okay, take the purchase position. First is cost of purchase. $29 negative. Number 2, cost savings. Okay, if I don't buy it, I'm going to make it, or if I'm buying it from outside, I don't make it, I save the material, labor, so this is variable cost, 60. So if I buy it, then I can save the variable cost. Number 3, opportunity cost. Okay, so now we have an opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is a contribution margin loss. 30 minus the 16, 14. $14 is your contribution margin. Okay, so this contribution margin, if you buy it from outside, then I don't lose this $14. Okay, if I buy it from outside, I make $14. If you buy it internally, if you buy it from internally, I have to give up this. So you add 14. Okay, so if you buy from outside, I can sell to outside, I can make $14. $1 positive. 10,000 units, $10,000. This is positive. Okay, so these two, yes, we should buy it. So we reject, we're going to transfer. Because if you buy it from outside, I can sell to our outside and make $14. I don't lose it. If you buy internally, I give up outside, I have to lose $14. This is opportunity cost. Okay, so number 3 is the same thing, but now we can save the variable cost because maybe commission is internal sales, we don't have to pay commission. Okay, the transfer price, buyer's market price, maximum $29, minimum, variable cost, incremental cost, opportunity cost. Okay, so in this question so far, there's no incremental cost. So variable cost is $16, no incremental cost, opportunity cost is 14, but this variable cost I can save $3. So only $13. 27, transfer price, 29. Will this work? Yes. So we should transfer. So you can split the difference, $2, split the difference. So $2 divided by 2, $1. You move up $1, they move down $1. This is called proration. You prorate it between the two. Okay, so cost of purchase. $29. Cost savings, I don't make. Variable cost, I save $16. No, I save $13. Okay. Opportunity cost. So if you buy from outside, I can make the $14. If you think about it that way. If you buy from outside, I can sell to my outside, I make $14, contribution margin. So this is 27, and this is $2 negative, 10,000 units. If you buy from outside, $20,000 more. Reject, lead back to, we should purchase internally. Okay, now assume the pump division needs 20,000 units, special, high pressure valve. This is special, not the regular. And they want 20,000 units. So this is what we talk about, different number of transfer. Now we have a special valve. We need to put more stuff in there, okay, material in there. The division's variable cost and ship the special valve will be $20 per unit. The standard, the regular is only 16. You want the special, high pressure, I have to add more money into the making the product, so it's $4 extra. Now, in order to ship you 20,000, my production will have to reduce from 100,000 down to 70,000. So this is another way of telling you it's not one-for-one exchange. I give up 30,000, I take 20,000. The same thing, you don't worry about how many you exchange. You say, what's the total dollar amount I'm going to lose? Spread it out, number of units transfer. Okay, so minimum. We don't have the maximum, so variable cost plus incremental cost, variable fixed cost per unit, plus opportunity cost. Okay, so variable cost, it tells us $16. Sorry, $20. But original, the regular is 16. In order to make the special high pressure, I have to add additional $4. So I can see this $20. Remember earlier we keep saying that there's no additional cost. Yes, we can break it down. Variable cost, additional variable cost. The two variable costs together is $20 per unit. Okay, so how about the opportunity cost? I have to give up. Okay, so the opportunity cost, each unit contribution margin, I'm going to give up $14. How many units I have to give up? From 100,000 down to 70,000, I'm losing 30,000 units. So what's the total dollar amount? Well, that's 420,000. If you give me the 420,000, I'm okay to sell to you. Otherwise, I lose 420,000, no. But we are looking at per unit. How many units you want to transfer? 20,000 units. So this is not one-to-one transfer, it's 3-to-2 transfer. So it doesn't matter, you just say, what's the total dollar amount I'm going to lose out? 420,000. How many units you're going to transfer? 20,000 units. So on average, each unit, $21. So altogether, I have to charge you at least $41. Okay? So this is the question, showing you the boundary. Also, I linked to chapter 4, so you don't study chapter by chapter. It's linked together. You make decision. Okay, let's look at the next question. Nova product median operation organized into two divisions, West and East. So West is the selling division. Okay, whatever they make can be used in the East division. So now East division has obtained 3 quotes. 3 quotes. So far we only said $29 or whatever the dollar amount. But now they get 154, 138, 143. So which one we're going to choose? So you look into the cost structure for the West division. So direct material 56, direct labor 44, variable overhead 18, fixed overhead 25. But what I told you before, we ignore the fixed overhead first, because fixed is going to be there, doesn't matter. You transfer, you don't transfer. Okay, so now you are the chief accountant. CEO asks you to determine what savings or profit will be available to Nova if East division buying from the West internally instead of going outside. Do we have a benefit, profit? What would the transfer price be if the two divisions maximum and minimum transfer price. Maximum, we say buyer's market, but buyers now get 3 quotes. Kind of messed up our thinking, right? 138, 143, and 154. Okay, so we have 3 prices. Now, minimum, variable cost, incremental cost, variable, and fixed cost per unit, plus opportunity cost. Okay, so the same pattern over and over. Now, direct material, 56, direct labor, 44, variable overhead, 18, altogether, so we ignore fixed cost, 118. Do they tell us any incremental cost? No. Opportunity cost? No. Transfer. Okay, so now you have to tell me, which price is the right price when I establish the boundary to make it happen? Should I pick the lowest or highest or somewhere in between? In order to make the transfer price to work, which price? I tell you, buyer's market, but buyers now throw us off. 3 prices. Which price do I use and why? I want you to think about this. What do you think the price should be in order to make the transfer price going? So East Division is going to be willing to buy from the West. So what will be the maximum price for this transfer price? Anybody want to try? If you made a mistake, it doesn't cost you anything. So you can tell me. Think about it. There got to be a reason, okay? Anybody want to try? In order to make it happen, East buying from the West, what price should be set? Is 154, 143, 138? Which price? And why? I want you to think about it. What do you think? Anybody? The first class, they got it right away. The second class, they got it wrong. Now it's your turn. You have to tell me. What is the price that you have to set so it will happen? 138, 143, 154. Which price? Anybody want to try? Anybody want to reason it? Let's talk it out. Let's think about it. What do you think about highest price? If I said the highest price, is it good? Why not? Why not? I'm just curious. Okay, so you say no. How about the lowest price? You say yes. Why? You want to try? You want to tell me? You are the payers. You are the buying division.
Yeah, so it's gonna be less for us than if we have to choose the lowest.
So less for you to pay. Okay, you have an answer. You want to try?
Like they would rather buy it outside if it's not less.
You will be willing to buy from outside if what?
If it's like if it's not 138 or lower, I think they're better off buying outside.
If it's not okay, so okay, so you're talking about you are buying it or I'm selling it. So if I'm selling you more than 138, maybe you want to go outside. You want to pay cheaper. You don't want to pay for quality. No. So this is the thing. There's no quality. You don't have the information, so you cannot say quality. So both of you say because it's cheaper for you. But this morning's class, they say, I want to set 154, so I make more profit. 2 students looking from the seller perspective. Now we have 2 coming from the buyer perspective. So what's the bottom line here? What's the conclusion? How many of you think should be the lowest? Okay, so we have a few. How many of you think should be highest? Nobody? Or one person? No? Okay. What do you know for sure they must pay? 138. But you don't know if they are going to be willing to pay more than 138. So if you say, I'm going to pick a higher one or middle one, what if they don't pay? You don't have internal sales. Are we okay with that? So one thing you know for sure, is the minimum market price. Okay, so the lowest market price. So this should be your maximum in terms of the boundary, because you don't know for sure they're willing to pay more than 138. That's right. So two of you are right. It's not the other group was saying that, oh, we make more money. Yeah, you want to make more money, maybe there's no sale at all. Maybe they don't want to buy from you. They go from outside, go to outside. Okay? Maybe they can get cheaper. If you put 143, they go outside 138. So the price you can set is the lowest market price for the buyer. Okay, so here's 138. This is the range. Okay? So cost of purchase, 138. Because you don't know if they're willing to pay more. Cost savings. See how many times I read this. So variable cost, direct material 56, direct labor 44, variable overhead 18, so 118. Any opportunity cost? No, we don't know opportunity cost. Zero. So it's $20 negative each unit. So you're going to reject to buy from outside, lead to buy internally. So the gap is $20, 118, transfer price 138. The gap is $20. So if we're going to prorate between the two divisions, this is the savings, $20 you can save. If you buy from outside, you spend $20 extra. So $20 divided by 2 is $10. So what do? We add $10, we minus $10, so we agree 128. That's the answer, 128. If you prorate the difference. So now the last one is if I use two prices, everybody use the best price, realistic price for their benefit. Okay, so the selling division is going to write the highest price they can, 138. It's realistic. The buying division, you want to record cost of goods sold, the cheapest cost of goods sold, 118. Okay, that's a boundary. So if I ask you, final exam, which price do we use? To higher or lower? So you're going to say either higher or lower. You don't. I told you that I will ask you a question. You don't need to do any calculation. That's about international transfer price to reduce the overall company paying taxes. Okay. So now let's do the very last question. The rest you can do it yourself. Okay. So the first question, Fowler Company. This is the international transfer price. So when we talk about international transfer price, we only focus on a high tax jurisdiction. Low tax jurisdiction, you have to pay tax, the tax rate is low, even you have lots of profit, it's not really a problem. The problem happened in the high tax jurisdiction, so remember that, okay? So when we have two divisions, from high tax to low tax, legally comply to whatever the rules, it's okay. You want to pay low taxes, you are not paying taxes. So our objective, that's why the tax accountant is about. They help you, they know the rules, they help you save tax dollars. The less dollars go to government, the more dollar left over for you. Why not? Okay. So when we are selling from high to low, this is the selling price. In order to have low tax, you need to have a low profit. So it's the selling price that matters. Should we set high or low? You want to have a low profit, pay low taxes. The selling price should be high or should be low? You don't need to calculate, just think, use logic. Low, exactly. So when you go over here, this is cost of goods sold. You have a low cost of goods sold. You can have a lot of profit, we don't care. Okay, how about the other way around? When a low tax jurisdiction selling to a high tax jurisdiction, you are selling it. When you bring over here, this is your cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold has to be high or low, so I have a low profit, I pay lower taxes. So cost of goods sold should be high or low? High. This is exactly what the pharmaceutical company, remember we keep talking about the pharmaceutical company? Switzerland pay little tax. We pay a lot of taxes. The company here, you can buy in the local market between 250 and 350. No, they want to go to their head office, pay 1,600. That's outrageous. 1,600. If you want to pay $500, maybe, but 1,600, it's very suspicious, right? Very fishy. Your cost of goods sold in Canada, high. What are you trying to do? Not to pay taxes. That's the problem. So their selling price is high, or not a problem? Not a problem, because you don't pay a lot of taxes, tax rate is low. Okay, so in the final exam, I will ask you this. You don't need to calculate. I say if this division and that division, which division pay more taxes, your price set high or low. You can even do this, reasoning it, and you can answer. Okay, so let's take a look at the question. Fowler Electronics produced color prisma screen in its Windsor, Ontario plant. So this is the company in Windsor. So they make the screen, they ship it to Detroit in the US. So a lot of auto sector, they have a plant in Windsor, and then it's the same company, but they ship to the other side of the border, okay? So Windsor never sell this in the local market, so they make it and they ship it. So the market price is $750, but how much they made it? Well, how much it cost them to make? $350 variable cost. But they also have their fixed cost. Windsor plant is $2 million per period. So what happens is they usually ship 10,000 units to Detroit. Canada, we pay 30% tax, and total assets $20 million. When you go to Detroit, the other side, Detroit plant incur variable cost. So you buy the screen, but then after that you still have to spend more money, $110 to make it into a finished product, a TV. Okay? So now $110 you make it and you sell to outside for $2,500. Their fixed cost is $4 million. Now, US tax rate is higher, so from lower tax to higher tax, you want to save from lower tax to higher tax, you want the selling price to be high or low. Lower tax to higher tax, okay, so it's a cost of goods sold, you want high or low? Low? High? I want you to think through. From lower tax 30% to US higher tax. So you're selling, come over here as cost of goods sold. All things being equal, you want your cost be high or you want cost be low? High. This one. Okay? So let's just mark it down. Okay? We want it high. In order to reduce taxes. So you go to the exam right away, use common sense, and you do the calculation. If the calculation and your logic not the same, something is wrong. Either you think you're wrong or your calculation is wrong. Okay. So Detroit asset $30 million. Determine the return on investment. So this is linked to performance evaluation. Okay. So if I transfer at variable cost, B, if I transfer at the market price, so variable cost or market price, what's the outcome? To reduce taxes, here. To reduce taxes, when we talk about this, to reduce taxes, the price we prefer to set it high or low, transfer price. You want to set it market price because market is higher. Okay? Well, top managers in each plan prefer to use cost or market. How would you resolve the potential conflict between the two divisions? Okay, so I'm going to set it up nicely, do one at a time. So international transfer. Windsor, Detroit. Okay, so we are transferred at variable cost. Okay, so the sales is 350. Variable cost 350. Contribution margin 0 times 10,000 units, 0. We have fixed cost. The fixed cost in Detroit is $2 million. Earning before tax, negative $2 million. If you're losing money, you don't have to pay taxes. 30%. Earning after tax, you still lose money, $2 million. Okay, now return on investment. Return, negative $2 million. Investment is the total asset. Total asset is $20 million. So it's negative 10%. Okay, so if you're a Windsor manager, you're not going to be too pleased. Your performance is not good. Now let's look at Detroit. Okay, so Detroit sales, $2,500 per TV. Variable cost, okay, so now look. Sales price come over here, become variable cost. $350. But you also have to spend $110 to make it into finished product. So you pay $450. So each unit contribution margin is $2,040. 10,000 units, well, that's a lot of money. $20,400,000. Fixed cost with Detroit is $4 million. Earning before tax, $16,400,000. Tax, Wow, that's a lot of taxes. Okay, so this is 7,380,000. So earning after tax is 9,020,000. Return on investment, it's not difficult, you know how to do the calculation. It's $9,020,000 over investment, $30 million. So this is 30.07%. Okay, so Detroit looked very good. Okay, so now let's take a look at if we transfer based on market price. Windsor, Detroit, we transfer at market price. Sales, market price is $750. Variable cost, $350. So contribution margin per unit is $400. 10,000 units, $4 million. Fixed cost, $2 million. Earning before tax, $2 million. Tax, 30%. So we pay 600,000. Earning after tax, $1.4 million. So this is math, you know how to set this one up. It's not difficult. So return on investment, return is $1.4 million. Investment is $20 million. So 7%. This is much better. So Windsor manager would prefer using market price. They have profit. Look good. Now Detroit sales 2,500. Variable cost, now it transfer over here. This is your variable cost, $750. But you cannot just sell this. You have to add other stuff to make the finished product 110. Doesn't matter which price you get, you still have to add 110. Okay, so altogether 860. Okay. So contribution margin per unit is 1640. 1,640. 10,000 units, so 16,400,000. Fixed cost, $4 million. Earning before tax, 12,400,000. Tax, 45%. This is 5,580,000. Okay. Now earning after tax, 6,820,000. Return on investment, 6820000. Investment is $30 million. Equals 22.7%. Okay, so if you are with a Detroit manager, you won't be pleased using the market price. That created a difference. Windsor like to use the market. Detroit want to use variable cost because they show more profit. Okay, so I'm going to show you which one is the best for the company as a whole. Okay, so now let's compare. transfer price at variable cost or at market price, what's the taxes we have to pay? What the profit we're going to get? Okay? So I'm going to go to each scenario and I'm going to take the tax and take the profit, add the two together. Okay, so here, look. If we transfer based on variable cost, tax 0. Tax 7,380,000. How about the profit? Negative 2 million, positive 9,020,000. Okay, so I'm just going to copy them down, add them all together. 0, pay tax 7,380,000. So altogether 7,380,000. What's the profit? Negative $2 million plus the profit from Detroit, which is 9,020,000. So 7,020,000. Now let's take a look at here. Tax 600,000. Tax 5.58 million. Profit 1.4 million. 6,820,000. I just need to add them all together, okay? So 1.4 million. 6,820,000. So it's 8,220,000. How about tax? 600,000 plus 5,580,000. 6,180,000. Okay, now let's compare. If you use the variable cost, you pay this amount of tax. Your profit is lower. If you pay higher market price, transfer price set at market, you pay lower taxes. More profits stay inside the business. You see that? The difference is the money saved stay inside the business. Are we okay? So this leads to the same decision. We want to set at a market price. Remember in the very beginning we said market price? Okay. So this is what caused the goal incongruence for Detroit. Because Detroit want to use the variable cost, it's good for him, but actually it's not good for the overall company benefit. So this is called goal incongruence. But Windsor want to set the price at the market. Also the company want to set on the market. So this is called goal congruence. Align. The objective align. Okay? So how do you reconcile the differences? So you have to maybe change the performance evaluation. We evaluate different things. Whatever you can contribute best to help company overall. Or you can tell them that, okay, anytime when your return on investment is more than 5%, everybody's happy. Okay, so you can change that. All right, so I'm done with this. So remember, in the final exam, I will ask you the transfer price, variable cost, incremental cost, opportunity cost. And I'll ask you, should set low, should set high, you decide. Look at the question, okay? You signing the attendance sheet? Everybody signing the attendance sheet? Okay, now I'm going to continue with chapter 13. Oh, chapter 13 is my favorite. One of my favorite topics, actually. I like pretty much every topic. The only topic I don't like too much is the budget. Budget is kind of boring. Okay, versus buy, can be transfer pricing. It doesn't matter what. You always think about three things. Number one, what's the cost to me? Number two, what's the benefit I'm going to get? Number three, is there any additional benefit, additional cost? I call it opportunity cost. Can be positive, can be negative. So we are looking at long-term decision making. Okay, so long-term decision making, time value of money is important. Up to this point, we never talk about time value of money because everything is an operating decision, calculating the cost. Okay, but when we're talking about decision making long-term, the cost is today, but the benefit many years, can be 10, can be 20 years. This is subway system, can be 50 years project. So you cannot compare the benefit you're going to get in 10 years with today's money because different value. So what we have to do is we have to bring everything back to today, then we can compare today's cost with today's benefit. So there are 4 different methods. Okay, you're going to be tested on all these 4 different methods. Okay, so the first 2 methods, one is called payback period. The period, time. How many years, how many months we get my money back. Quick and easy. But the problem with this method is after you get your money back, you still continue having this project. You ignore the benefit after payback period. So this is the downside of it, but it's very easy to calculate. I'm going to tell you some example. Okay. Accounting rate of return is our accounting return on investment. AAR, accrual accounting rate of return. So this is the only method, remember this, only method I need to calculate, include depreciation in the calculation because accounting income. You have to subtract depreciation. So these 2 are very easy to calculate. We don't worry about time value of money, but it's not good because this is a long-term decision. We should look at from the beginning to the end, the whole project. Okay, so we have something called discounted cash flow. These 2 methods superior. Sometimes in the exam you may have a conflicting outcome. One say yes, go ahead. The other one say no, don't do it. So which one is the most important? The most important is net present value. I'll tell you why in a minute. Okay. If it's break-even point, then you have to think about other non-financial measures. Okay. So, because this is a long-term decision making, very quickly, I just show you this and I'll tell you some stories. We call it capital budgeting, long-term. So we should look at the lifespan, the lifetime of the project, from the beginning to the end. Okay, so it's a life cycle, should focus on everything. All the cash coming in, all the cash saving. So 4 methods I already told you about. Okay, the 2 very simplistic. I don't worry about time value of money. The other 2 I use time value of money. It's much better, stronger. Okay, so usually I say you're going to make a life decision. You're thinking, should I do a master degree or no? Personal decision. Okay, I just think about personally. Are you going to do an MBA? You interested in doing an MBA? You want to do it? No. Maybe. Okay, so now if you're thinking about doing a master's degree, then you say, what's the cost to me? 2 years, MBA 2 years. Okay, so the 2 years, you are not making money. 2 years of your lifetime that your friends all found a job, happy life for 2 years, getting married and stuff, you are still in school, right? So the cost of tuition is another thing. So how much cost? 100,000? 2 years? 200,000? If you go to the States, even more. So that's your investment, the cost. You know that. Okay, now what's the benefit? After you graduate, you have this MBA, right? On your shoulder here, I have an MBA. Then what? colleagues, your friends, for the whole entire life. Okay, you're going to get more and more. Not only this, the benefit, you also get more opportunities to be promoted. Sometimes you may get sent to different countries for different product development and stuff. More interesting life. Okay, sometimes you cannot measure what's the dollar amount for more interesting life, better life. That's a benefit. Cost, benefit. Number 3, I call it opportunity cost. Okay, can be positive, can be negative. So for example, you go to an MBA class, you meet your sweetheart, you fell in love, okay? What do? You get married, happy life for 5 years. You have babies and stuff, okay? Then 7th year, darn, bitter divorce. Okay, you're fighting bitter divorce. So you can have a positive, you may have a negative. Who knows? You don't know. But if you don't go to MBA class, you won't meet your sweetheart. That's what happens. So in life, just very simplistic. Just think about 3 things. What's the cost to me? What's the benefit I'm going to get? Is there any additional benefit or cost? You add them all together, you're going to say, well, maybe I should do an MBA. Right? Okay, so this is the capital budgeting. And I'm going to give you an example, a few examples for the first 2 calculations, okay? This is interesting. So, I have an older sister, and I have a younger brother, okay? This is real. I have an older sister, I have a younger brother. And I always say this, my older sister has a very smart younger sister. You get it? Okay? So, oh, my sister get very angry, right, about this. But, hey, it's real. My sister has a very smart sister. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay? So my sister, we live in downtown. My sister, my family bought this, historical house, and has been divided into apartments in very close to St. George campus. All right, so the house looked like this, okay? Very long, historical house. And on the top floor, 3-bedroom apartment. So, very big, 3-bedroom apartment. All right, so at that time, so this was a long time ago, she was renting $1,400 per month. $1,400 a month. Okay, so I tell you the true story, okay? So the 3 girls living there. And, you know, in downtown Toronto, lots of trees, and then, you know, you have lots of squirrels running around. And one day, one squirrel jumped into the chimney, got stuck in the chimney, okay? And couldn't get out. Guess what? Died. And it started to smell. Okay, it's really bad smell. So these 3 girls started to say, we cannot wear these clothes to work because it smells so bad. We're going to send it to dry cleaning, and you have to pay for it. And we cannot stay here because it smells so bad. We're going to stay in the hotel, and you're going to pay for it. I said, hold on a second. Okay, let's see what's the situation here. And I sent my husband. I said, you go. What's the point of having a husband if you cannot send your husband to do the dirty work, right? You go. Go take a look what's going on there. So my husband went there, and he sniffed. He said, okay, I see the problem is right here, okay? And he was very lucky, because you can take down the whole wall, you cannot find a squirrel. But he was lucky enough. He opened the wall, and he found the dead squirrel. So took the tail out, took the body out, and threw it away. Okay. So then the girls were still not very happy, and we are not happy at the time. So I said, you can decide to move. If you want to move, you can move. So finally, because as a landlord, we cannot kick anybody out easily. So they said they are going to move. Very good, they're going to move. So I told my sister, I said, you are not mixed. Oh, sorry, I did not show you this. I told my sister, I said, you are not maximizing your revenue. You have a 3-bedroom apartment, you only make $1,400. You are not maximizing your revenue. That's divided into 2 units. Okay, you divide it into 2 units. stairs coming up here. Okay, so here's one unit, here's one unit. But this is a long time ago. Let's charge $1,000 per unit. Okay, so now her revenue become $2,000 a month. Okay, but you cannot just put a wall there. You have to hire somebody to divide the place. Now 2 units, you need to have 2 sets of bathroom, you need to have 2 sets of kitchen, you need to have whatever, you have to reconfigure it. Okay, so she spent $28,000. So this is how it works. Okay, so here's the a room and here's the kitchen area. So this is coming up. So here, the kitchen area. This is real story. Okay, the fridge, the sink, and this is the common area, dining room area, and this is the bathroom. The bathroom has the tub. We have the sink, and then we have a toilet. Okay, and the door coming this way. So on this unit, so this unit already there, right? Then on this unit we have to add. So the room was already here, so we have to add a bathroom. The tub here, the sink here, the toilet here, the door coming in. And the kitchen, not a lot of space, the stove, the refrigerator, and this is the sink. Okay. And of course we have to change the floor because once you divide it, you have to change the floor, you have to do all kinds of stuff. So she spent $28,000. She asked me, how long does it take me to get my money back? Now I'm asking you, how long does it take my sister to get her money back? $28,000. You do the calculation now. Do it. And I want to know if you get it right or wrong. Don't sit there. I want you to do the calculation.
4 years.
4 years? How do you calculate?
I just subtracted
You subtract what?
1,400 from 2,000, so you make additional 600 every month.
Every
So
month?
it's 7,200 per year, and then you divide 28 by 7, so it's around 4 years.
Okay, so 28,000 divided by 7,200. Anybody have different answer? You said this is around 4 years?
Yeah.
Like 46 months, 47 months? Because 48 months will be 4 years. So around there. Anybody have different answers? Yes?
It will be more as like you have to construct it as like a month, I guess. And the profit each year, you get, if you get money first, you get more profit from that.
Okay, but these are just the facts. So how many years?
Like more than 4 years.
More than 4 years? No, let's say, for argument's sake, okay? These are the numbers. No more changes. Anybody else? Everybody agree? Yes?
Is it then for 14 months?
Oh, you have 14 months. How do you get 14 months?
Like I didn't think of the 1,400 past rent, but I just simply 28,000 over
28,000 divided by
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah, I didn't account for the thing, but I don't know which one is two. And then that's like 14.
And this is 14 months.
Yeah.
So a year and a bit. Which one is more sensible? I want you to think about this. This is good practice, huh, for you to think. Because you borrow this money, you expect to return in 14 months, huh? But what if it turns out to 4 years? You're going to be in trouble in real life. So you have to be right. Okay, so let's think about what's more reasonable. Divided by 2,000 or divided by 600? So you say $600. Why?
I was thinking like that you have like variable cost and fixed cost, so
There's no variable cost.
not variable cost, but like you get 1,400 every month, so you add to it like the fixed cost, which is 2,800, and then you see like how much revenue you're gonna make
so she makes 2,000 after the investment.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the rest of you? What do you think? You think she's going to get her money back 14 months? Or she's going to get her money back 46 months? That's a big difference. What do you think? How many of you think 4 years? Only 2, 3, 5, 4, 5. How many of you think 14 months? Okay, okay. Now, okay, so I told my husband, I said every year I use this as an example. It's interesting. He said, because I told you my husband taught at UTM, right? He's an undergraduate program director at Utah Finance. He said, good idea, let me put in a final exam. And then he did, and he said out of 300 students, only about 20 students get it right. I said, oh, of course, as a UTM student, what do you expect? Okay, UT Scarborough student better. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you, the real answer is, without the investment, she get 1,400. With the additional investment, she get additional 600. No investment, 14. With investment, 2,600 additional. So you should not use the 2,000 to calculate. This one, no. No. Because for this 28,000 you invest is to get additional 600. That's exactly right. You just did not explain it properly. But that's right, that's the right thinking. Without the investment, she already have 14. So 14 is irrelevant. You invest, you don't invest, you already have 14. With the investment, she did not get 2,000, additional 2,000. She only get additional $600. So that's why 46, 47 months. This is right, okay? So now you remember it's all about incremental. Now I'm going to tell you the smart sister story. So hopefully you remember better. So we have this house in downtown Toronto, okay? Very close by UT. So what happened was in the basement, it was like divided by like this, and the staircase go down. And we had, at that time, we have a washing dryer. And this room, we have a huge old furnace, very big old furnace. So we don't know how to do with this. What do we do? How can we convert into apartment, rent it out? It's all very thick wall and so on. So 1 year, so early on, okay, before we have kids, I worked till 5 o'clock, November, I came home, okay, my husband was working as well, and he was doing his MBA a long time ago. So nobody was home, I came home, I was going to open the door was open. I mean, what's going on here? The door open. I look around, doesn't look right, because the door frame was like forced, cracked. Went to the front door, it's open. I said, what the heck? What's going on here? So what happened was a sad story. Somebody broke into our house. My husband wasn't home, just two of us there. So I called 911, and the person said, if anybody in there, you should run away. You should just get out of there. They don't want me to be hurt. So I said, I don't think anybody's here, but eventually I kind of look around. I see, because they took away my computer, the laptop and stuff, and my jewelry, and so I was very upset, feel very violated. Then after that, we kind of say, okay, if we have more people living in this house, more people in, let's say, in the basement, lots of people coming in, going out, then it's not as obvious and nobody there. So more people coming in, going out, then we can avoid this kind of sad situation. So what happened was we get rid of the old furnace. So we changed to the more efficient furnace with the water tank. So now once we move it, we So we have the stove top and refrigerator down the bottom. Okay, so we have the three things like this. We spent $60,000. We spent $60,000 to make into 3 bachelor studio. Okay, so each one we charge $650. So I'm asking you, how long does it take for me to get my money back? So we charge $650. Okay, so for 3 apartments, $1950. So how many months does it take for me to get my money back? 60,000. You do the calculation quick, tell me, because I still have other to cover. Almost 7 o'clock.
31 months.
Huh?
Around 31 months.
31 months? So I take 60,000 divided by 1950. Why 1950? Because the whole thing is incremental. Because without the investment, I have nothing. With the investment, everything is my incremental. Do you see the difference between my sister's story and my story? Because my sister already have 1,400. Without the investment, 1,400. With the investment, she gets additional 600. For me, I have nothing. With the investment, I get the whole thing. Okay? So now I'm going to show you something called AR, accrual accounting rate of return. So return on investment. So let's look at my sister's investment. 28,000. Not everything you can depreciate. Remember I told you about depreciation? You have to subtract the depreciation. Not everything you can depreciate. Labor you cannot depreciate. Some stuff you cannot. The only thing you can depreciate is maybe refrigerator, stove, maybe bathtub, all these type of things. Okay? So let's say out of $28,000, only $14,000 we can depreciate. What's the residual value? Nothing. Why? Who's going to buy the used stove? Who's going to buy the used refrigerator and bathtub and toilet? Nobody. So make it 0. How many years do you think you're going to use this appliances and so on? Maybe 10, maybe 15, maybe 20. Let's just say 10 years because we don't use it. The 10 are maybe not nice to the fridge or whatever. So let's say 10 years, which means that each year, 1,400 depreciation expense. Okay, she's making $600 a month times 12, $7,200 a year. Now she has $1,400 depreciation expense. So $5,800 is the profit. Investment, $28,000. You do the calculation and tell me what's the return on her investment. What's the return on investment? Take 58 divided by 280. What's the return on investment? Nobody calculating. Quick.
0.2.
Huh?
0.207.
0.2.
07.
Okay, so roughly around 20.7, 21%. So now you have to compare. If she has to borrow this money from the bank or from whoever she's borrowing money from, if they want the return 5%, for example, you borrow money from the bank account, from the bank, this is called required rate of return. Require you to return it 5%. If your investment 27%, 20%, 21%, you are still ahead 15%. Okay, so this is return on investment. So you compare your return on investment with the required rate of return. If this is bigger than required rate of return, how much you use other people's money, bigger, you should invest. If the return is investment. So 60,000, as I said, not everything you can depreciate. So let's say 30,000 I can depreciate. No residual value divided by over 10 years. So $3,000 a year. Okay? How much do I get profit? So 1950 times 12, it's 23,400 minus the 3,000 depreciation expense. So accounting income is 20,400. My investment is 60,000. So it looks like 1/3, or 33-34%. See? That's why I said my sister has a smarter sister. Better investment for me. Look at that. Okay? So every year when I teach this topic, I like it because it's interesting. So long time ago, I told students, I say, if you have money, put some money away, buy a real estate. Because real estate will go up in time. Also, you can have this rental income, operating income, plus the capital gain, 2 things. Why not? But now I don't tell you to buy it because you cannot afford it. Every house is like $2 million. A little nothing, too expensive, okay? It's kind of, now everything is not affordable. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about, very quickly, I have 5 minutes. So payback period, there's an arbitrary cutoff point. So let's say my sister say, I'm going to invest anything. If anything, any project, I can get my money back within 3 years, then you should invest. If more take longer than 3 years, you should reject it. But the downside of this is what I told you before. We still make money after the payback period. So we own the place for 20-something years, we still benefit from it. But the payback period do not consider that part. Okay, so now the other 2 methods is called net present value. So this is exactly what I told you about 3 components. You net it out. What do you net out? Bring everything back to today so we can compare the cost, the benefit, and opportunity cost. So because this is a long-term project, I want to finish this logic. So when you come back on Tuesday, I show you some questions, okay? So when we have a long-term project, many, many years, today, you have to pay for the cost. So the cost is always negative. But when we have this project can generate benefit year after year, the benefit. Then the end, I call it terminal value. The end. Okay, so this is what we call opportunity cost. If you invest, you may have this, positive or negative. So 3 things. Cost is always negative. Benefit is always positive. Opportunity cost can be positive, can be negative. Who knows? So if you add the 3 things together, if the number is positive, means your benefit opportunity cost is greater than the cost, you should go ahead, invest. Otherwise, you should reject. If equals 0, break even, so you have to think about other situation. Okay, so now, because these are future money, you don't know the value, it will be very difficult to compare. So you bring these back. You're going to discount back. So you take the required rate of return, you discount it back. So the second component in finance, if you already took finance, they're going to use the term called cash flow. In cost accounting, we say cost saving. You save money, not spending money. It's the same as cash coming in. So we present value of the benefit. I just use the word benefit, it's easier. And then I have the present value of a terminal value. is the interest rate. So anytime when you see the word rate, interest rate is a percentage. So IRR is the interest rate. I plug it in, will make the whole net present value equal 0. So basically, you can use the word, the term as the break-even interest. You plug in the interest rate, you discount it back, everything will become 0. So it's the interest rate make the whole thing break even. Okay? So normally, if net present value, so with present value, you net it out. Net present value greater than 0, then IRR, internal rate of return, will be greater than required rate of return. Let's say you borrow money from the bank, need 5%. Okay, so you have to pay back 5%. But this project would generate 10% for you. So this is to make it break even. So IRR will be greater than RR. The other one, if this one is negative, so in general, internal rate of return would be smaller than required rate of return. Okay, so exactly 7 o'clock. What happened is when you come back next class, I will tell you more detail what happened in this one, what happened in this one, what happened in this one. There are components in there. And make sure you know how to include that because this is where the student will be staying in the final exam. Okay, so I see you.